Okay, what's up, everybody? We are back on another solo episode here. Things have been running so quickly. We are recording this late into the night on June 26th. Okay, just because we got so much developing news on the Iran front and everything that's going on right now, I figured I'd throw that time out there for you guys, just so when I say something stupid that is no longer relevant the minute I stop recording, you guys know why. So we'll hit the Iran stuff real quick. We've had some more recent developments, okay, since we talked to you guys last. Last time we covered that Donald Trump ordered strikes on Iran. I think it was 14 of these big bunker buster bombs were dropped on Iran's nuclear sites. Because like 3 of them, plus a submarine launched some Tomahawk missiles, destroyed another nuclear site there. So that's, sorry, let me back up. That was 2 sites that got hit with the bunker busters, a third hit by the submarine's Tomahawk missiles. So what Iran did was they came out and warned the Trump administration. This isn't disputed. Iran said they warned us. Donald Trump said they warned us. And Iran came out and said, hey, we're going to retaliate. We're going to shoot some missiles at your air base in Qatar. And they did. We ended up shooting all of them down. We learned today from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, I believe, told us this. They left behind, this was a base of 100,000 soldiers. They'd evacuated the base. They left 44 soldiers behind, an air defense crew, skeleton crew. They were aged 21 to 28. And they shot down all the missiles themselves. Pretty impressive. Bunch of impressive young guys there. And it's kind of crazy we leave, 20-something-year-olds in charge of defending a huge military base by themselves. But it's pretty cool that they did it. I really liked that story. But the important thing was no Americans were hurt. I don't even think any of our property took any damage. So Iran essentially bitched out. They decided that they didn't want to escalate this any further. They wanted to provide an off-ramp. Donald Trump decided to take it, and he negotiated a ceasefire. Donald Trump came out on Truth Social, declared this the 12-day war. It was over, blah, 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 blah. It had some really weird terms for this ceasefire. Like Iran had to start the ceasefire 12 hours before Israel did. So Israel theoretically could have kept bombing Iran before Iran, after Iran couldn't retaliate anymore. It was weird, but they ended up breaking the initial terms of the ceasefire anyways, probably because they were dumb. And that's where Donald Trump got super pissed off and dropped the F-bomb here. Oh, which I want to play for you guys. Because this was it's not often you get to hear presidents dropping the F-bomb on national television. But if anyone's going to do it, who else but Donald Trump, right? So let's pull this up for everybody. It's really a great video. Here we go.
We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
And then he goes walking off to Marine One. It's a pretty hard clip, actually. He was apparently pretty pissed off that Israel, right after the ceasefire was negotiated, started dropping a bunch of bombs on Iran, thinking that it hadn't officially taken place yet. And then Iran retaliated, and it clearly really pissed Trump off. So it's a great video. I'm actually going to play it one more time, just because I love to hear a president talk like this when he's really mad.
You know what? We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
And then he hits the reporter with, "You understand that?" I thought that was kind of funny. It's usually when you hear a president cuss, it's because they got caught on a hot mic or something, not because they're swearing directly at a reporter on national news. But it's pretty funny. But on a more serious topic, we really ended in an interesting position here, okay? Because in the beginning of this whole war, I guess is what we're going to call it now, the neocons really wanted Donald Trump to topple the Iranian regime. And it looked like they were going to get that. Donald Trump was tweeting about toppling Ayatollah Khomeini. And so the neocons, the John Boltons of the world, the Mike Pompeos, they were really excited about all this. And the libertarian wing of the Republican coalition was just in absolute tatters. As you know, Dave Smith was trending. You know, he recanted his support for Donald Trump. He said he regretted voting for him, apologized. Tons of libertarians said that this, you know, could result in a catastrophic war in the Middle East, another 20-year quagmire, all this stuff. Okay, Tucker Carlson was another one in this camp. And granted, they did say that it could result in that, and that technically it could have, but it didn't. So then Donald Trump bombs the nuclear facilities. Again, the libertarians are up in arms. This is, you know, all sorts of, how do I put it? Not a faux pas, but the libertarians really did not like this, especially after America got involved and struck the nuclear facilities. It was doom and gloom, the sky's falling, all that stuff. And I'll admit, I was a foot in this camp, okay? And the libertarians now that it seems like we're not going to be escalating anymore, Donald Trump took the off-ramp, they're saying, well, good outcomes don't always mean there were good decisions made. And that's true. Okay. We were relying on Iran not escalating any further. But then some more information's come out. Okay. After a leak, it appears that we may have tipped off the Iranians that this strike was coming. Maybe. Okay. Not confirmed. So had we notified them ahead of time to get all their people out, to, you know, minimize the damage that we were actually going to do, that this was a little bit more of a PR stunt than anything, that could have really minimized the chance for escalation by Iran. Okay. So it's possible something like this, that this attack was choreographed. Okay. Again, not saying there's a ton of evidence for it, but that's possible. That at some level, the Iranians knew that this was coming. And it's being reported that the air vents we dropped the bombs down, kind of Star Wars style, were actually cemented over. So they did know on some level that it was possible we'd be coming. How certain they were of that, it's unclear right now. But it appears that there is, you know, at least rumors flying around that there was the chance of this escalating into a big regional war was a lot lower initially than we imagined. And that's probably because a lot of this information was not public. Again, the administration has has the most complete picture. Okay. Us, you know, talking shit on Spotify, we don't have the information Donald Trump and his administration do. Pete Hegseth, you know, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Raising Cain, all these guys, we don't have the information they do. And at least in this scenario, it showed. The Trump administration made a calculated risk. They made a choice to bomb this nuclear site. And right now, it appears it's worked out. Iran is not going to really respond. America looks strong on the world stage. We don't have to deal with a big regional war, a 20-year Iraq-style quagmire. So, on some level, the libertarians here that were, you know, Chicken Little, the sky's falling, were wrong. Okay? And I put a little bit of that blame on myself too. And again, we weren't the biggest ones screaming that everything is going to be burning. But there was a possibility that this could have gone really badly, a possibility we can't ignore. This was a big gamble for it seems like very limited reward here. The risk reward still doesn't make sense to me. No one's claiming Iran had a nuke. Even Benjamin Netanyahu's saying that they were 13 months away. He said that on Bret Baier just a few weeks ago. That Iran was 13 months from a nuclear weapon. And if you're keeping track, that's how long Benjamin Netanyahu said they were. That's the amount of time he said they were away from a nuclear weapon 20 years ago. So who knows, right? It seems like this whole thing was just kind of BS. Maybe it had to do more with, maybe Donald Trump wanted to do this anyways to push Iran to negotiate. Maybe he thought that the regime would be toppled by this. I don't know. I don't know what the thought for the administration was, but the way it's all shaken out, it seems like this was a huge risk for very minimal reward. And the only reward I can really see right now, aside from the contested damage we've done to their nuclear program, again, it's right now it is not clear. Trump administration saying they completely annihilated the program. Rumors are flying around that actually Iran was able to smuggle out hundreds of pounds of their enriched uranium. It's not clear right now what the actual damage was to Iran's nuclear program. But it does seem like we have really increased our standing on the world stage. At the NATO summit, Donald Trump was the strongest any American leader has looked in a very long time. For good reason. You can see why. This, I think, and I'm going out on a big limb here, I think that this strike will be looked back upon as a favorable, I should say, it will be looked upon favorably. This will be remembered as a sign of American strength. Again, and because it didn't escalate, and again, because of some of the decisions Iran made, it's worked out for us. And we shouldn't be doing that. We should not be trusting the Ayatollah to make good decisions for the future of the U.S. and our military, our military commitments in the region. We shouldn't be doing that, okay? But it was a gamble, and it looks like for right now, whatever limited payoff we were going for, we achieved. Again, I don't like the risk. I don't like the gamble we took, but it could have gone much worse than it did. And that's how it looks right now. Again, this could always change. You know, there could be another strike tomorrow and we could be back in the same position we were 3 weeks ago. But as of right now, the sky is not falling. And I think we're going to be okay. This looks like it's going to be a sign of strength for Trump. Hopefully, the big influencers in the libertarian end of the coalition that were calling out Trump, that made this a huge deal, hopefully they go back and not necessarily say they were wrong. Again, a lot of them, especially the ones with the tempered criticism, okay, the ones that said this gamble was not worth it, they weren't wrong. But hopefully they come back and say this wasn't worth trying to blow up the coalition over. People voted for Trump because they didn't want any new wars in the Middle East. Donald Trump is still able to achieve that. Okay, even though he's calling this the 12-day war, whatever it was, this was not what people think of when we're talking wars in the Middle East. We're not talking nation building. We're not talking completely destroying a country, regime change, nothing like that. So hopefully the coalition is not permanently damaged by this issue. And hopefully everybody can show a little humility that none of the crazy predictions came true on either side. The Ayatollah wasn't toppled. Okay. There was no regime change. It appears, at least right now, there's no regime change. Nobody got nuked. We're not going to be committed to a 20-year boots on the war ground in Iran. Okay. So it's not often that the people walking the fine line down the middle, I would say, completely nail it. But in this scenario, they did. So let's jump now, again, because this is all still developing. We don't want to commit too much time here, any big crazy predictions. We're going to let it play out. But let's jump to the Bernie Sanders interview. And I wanted to find the film on this, and we couldn't pull the clip, so I apologize. But Bernie Sanders went on Joe Rogan, and he said a bunch of crazy shit. As always, he's an old social. He did the only big breaking news that he did come out and say, and most people knew this, but it was nice to hear it come from his mouth. He is not going to be running for president again. Bernie Sanders' political career is really in its final days. So that is a good thing. Thank God. Because he is a crazy old socialist. So the big line I wanted to hit off of him that I just thought was absolutely the most batshit crazy thing I've probably ever heard on Joe Rogan. And keep in mind, he's had people talking about UFOs. He's had Alex Jones talking about psychic vampires and all sorts of crazy stuff. But Bernie Sanders came on here, and he didn't get any pushback on this, which really was too bad. It was a quick line in Joe's defense. So maybe he didn't catch it or was thinking about something else. But Bernie Sanders is talking about the shortage of doctors and nurses that we have in the United States. And one of the issues he cites is getting an MD in this country, he says on average, costs $500,000. I didn't double check this stat. I don't really care to this point. If they had said 400,000, this point would be all the same. But Bernie Sanders says, in order for us to get enough doctors, okay, because they can't afford this $500,000 medical degree, the government should subsidize their education. Pay no mind to why a fucking medical degree costs $500,000. That's irrelevant, right? He can't bring that up because what that does, it implicates government schools. Why does public education, okay? That's what these universities, the vast majority of these universities are public. And a lot of them offer MDs, okay? Why in the world should a public university be charging $500,000 for a medical degree? There is no excuse for that. So Bernie's right in that the price is a big problem, but his solution is totally wrong. So it's so mind-boggling. So what he wants to do is all the plumbers, the welders, people that did not go to college, their taxes should be raised in order to pay for somebody else, okay, to go to school. And keep in mind that money, that this $500,000 is going to professors and their bullshit unions, okay, to sit around. They subsidize this money because the money for these universities is fungible. This $500,000 isn't all going to the medical school, okay? It's going to support queer theory. It's going to support all the bullshit our public universities do. Okay. All the money they spend on just the God. And again, we've listed all the things. I'm not going to go into them all here, but if you're doubting me, go to your nearest public university and just sit outside for a day and look at everybody walking by and ask a couple kids here and there, what's your major? I guarantee you will be able, number one, to pick out the people with the stupid ass majors from 100 yards away. They stick out like sore thumbs. But I don't understand at how somebody like Bernie Sanders could come to the conclusion that a $500,000 medical degree from a public system, okay, a public university system, should be subsidized by the public. They're the whole problem, okay? The public university is the problem. It's already sucking up too much taxpayer money. So now, in order to fund the giant fiscal black hole we've created with our universities, we're going to have to raise taxes more to just pour more money into them to let more people go to college for free. Batshit fucking crazy. Okay, absolutely nuts. His solution to fix the exorbitant prices government schools are charging is with more government loans, forgivable government loans. If that doesn't sound like a Ponzi scheme to you, I got a bridge to sell you in Nebraska. Just absolutely, absolutely out of control. Just no self-awareness. And again, I want to believe that Bernie Sanders knows that government schools are the problem, but he just can't admit it because it doesn't do his philosophy, his ideology any good. He can't admit that the public system is the problem because then a public solution wouldn't make any sense. But I digress. We're Bernie Sanders, everybody. Everyone should go listen to that Joe Rogan. It's only an hour and 50 minutes or something, and it is just chock full of the absolute BS Bernie Sanders peddles all the time. And I wish Joe pushed back on him a little harder, but he does let everybody talk. So fine. I'm not going to complain about that too much. Where he did push back was Bernie Sanders calling Trump an authoritarian. This part of the podcast was really good. This happens at the end where Bernie Sanders criticizes Donald Trump for suing ABC and 60 Minutes. And if you're not familiar with some of these cases, 60 Minutes took a word salad answer of Kamala Harris's and edited it down really, really sneakily in order to make her look good. Okay, she went on some rambling BS answer like she always does, and they chopped it up, spliced it all together to make her sound somewhat intelligent. She needs video editing to do that. So Donald Trump sued 60 Minutes saying they were trying to influence the election here. He's not going to win that lawsuit, but this is the thing, Bernie. So then Bernie Sanders goes after, well, yeah, he sued 60 Minutes, but he's also suing the Des Moines Register. The Des Moines Register came out with an absolutely fake poll before the election saying that Kamala Harris was leading in Iowa. Again, absolutely crazy. So the reason, to give you guys a little background, that a Democrat polling outfit might lie is because if you're in a state where the winner seems predetermined, like Iowa, everybody had assumed Trump was going to win Iowa. If you come out with a poll that says Kamala Harris is leading, especially in a state with a small population like Iowa, you might be able to energize enough people to come out and vote who wouldn't have done so anyways, because now they believe their candidate has a chance. The problem is the whole thing's completely unethical based on lies. Okay, and Bernie Sanders even acknowledges during the episode that a lot of these polls are complete lies for the exact reason that I just laid out. But he still makes the case that Donald Trump shouldn't sue. And so Joe Rogan makes the obvious case, like, okay, well, if Donald Trump suing media is bad, isn't the reason he's suing them worse? Like, isn't the lies that they push worse? And Bernie Sanders, responds with some complete straw man. Well, the media says things about me I don't like all the time, but I don't sue them. And Rogan comes back and says, well, yeah, but that's not why he's suing them. He's suing them because of the ways they've tried to influence this election. And Bernie just tries to run around the question. It's kind of sad, actually, because Bernie Sanders is just a total stooge for the Democratic Party. And I wish that Rogan had made the point that, Bernie, it's not that the media is being sued for making a mistake. If this was a mistake, they would cut both ways. Half the mistakes would go against Kamala Harris, half would go against Donald Trump, right? If they were just mistakes, that's what would be happening. But every single one of these examples with the media cuts against Donald Trump. At some point, we have to stand up and acknowledge that all of this is intentional. Okay? They didn't stealth edit Kamala Harris's interview by accident. Okay? They did that on purpose and they did it for a reason because they wanted her to win. Okay, and none of that shit is fair. They're liars. So why are we defending them? And Bernie Sanders makes it, well, the free press is, mentioned in the Constitution. They have specific rights, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. all those exemptions made for a free press, okay, were not supposed to apply to propagandists. They're not supposed to apply to state shills for politicians, okay? We have essentially now at CNN, all these different outlets, is state media. These are government hacks, most of them paid for in roundabout ways by the government. That is not what the framers had in mind when they were protecting the free press, okay? They weren't defending 60 Minutes' right to stealth edit all of these interviews to make a candidate look like they're not an absolute idiot. Okay, what the framers had in mind was protecting journalists who are trying to hold politicians accountable, who are trying to speak truth to power. Those are the people that the framers wanted to protect. Not the idiot at CNN lying about Joe Rogan taking horse dewormer. And this is why Rogan pushes back on Bernie so hard here, is because this one hits home close for Joe. CNN completely smeared him. The whole legacy during COVID, they tried to get Joe Rogan canceled. They tried to topple his show, get rid of his way of life, the way he provides for his family. They tried to take that from him, destroy everything he built. So Joe Rogan takes this topic personally, as he should. But Bernie doesn't take it seriously because it cut his way. Sanders doesn't care if the media is, trying to undercut Trump. That's what Bernie Sanders is trying to do. And it just shows how spineless he is, that he doesn't take it personally, because that's what CNN did to him. Donna Brazile was the one who was working at CNN that then took the debate questions and gave them to Hillary Clinton. Media corruption is the reason he never had a fair shot to be president. But he still just stands for them. It's sad. He has no backbone. I wish I had the clip pulled up of Andrew Schultz calling him out for not having a backbone. Because it's true. And he's just... Unfortunately for him, that's going to be his legacy, that the Democratic Party and the media screwed him over, and he endorsed them. He did nothing about it. Completely spineless. Let's jump over to the New York City mayoral race. For the first time, man, am I happy to be living in California. We're not going to be the most socialist hellhole in the country now. Granted, this New York City mayor, it was just the primary. So this guy, Zohran Mamdani, won the New York City Democratic primary by a lot. Okay, Cuomo conceded the same night. But this guy wins. He's a full-scale communist. He self-describes himself as a socialist the same way, Stalin did. Same way Lenin did. That's when these guys say socialist, they mean communist. He has all sorts of insane ideas. He makes Gavin Newsom look like Donald Trump. And maybe, actually, I'm gonna revise that. He makes Gavin Newsom look like who do I want to get here? Barry Goldwater? Ronald Reagan? It's just, let me just play a clip for you guys, and then we'll break it down from there. Here's one of his ads.
Eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zohran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not price gouging. These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you. Grocery prices are out of control.
So, this guy's idea is government-run grocery stores. What a novel idea. I can't believe nobody has thought of this yet. Oh, wait. No, they did. in the Soviet Union. Stalin had this idea. I think Mao had this idea in China too, and Pol Pot in Cambodia. How did that go for them? Oh, yeah. Like 100 million people starved to death because the government sucks at running everything it tries to run. It's mind-boggling. And part of it is this guy, he's from God knows where. He's not from the U.S. He's been a citizen for 7 years or something like that. I don't even know where to start here. It's almost a good thing. I hate having this frame of mind again because I'm from California. I hate to say good, let them do it. Let them be an example to the rest of the country of what being a insane leftist is like. But there are millions of people in New York City. And a good chunk of them, I know they don't win any elections there, but a lot of Republicans live in New York City too. And I hate to condemn them to garbage like this. But, and that's only a little bit of what he wants to do. The government-run grocery stores are just he wants to, keep the place a sanctuary city, even though they've spent billions on illegal immigrants there. He wants to make all public transportation free. He wants to freeze all rents. He wants to completely defund the NYPD. I mean, this guy is batshit crazy. And now New York's only hope is Eric Adams is running as an independent. So in order for New York to not go full communist, the Democratic Party has to lose in New York City. Unlikely to happen. I'm going to say it right now. This guy, this Zohran guy, is the front runner to be the mayor of New York City. Eric Adams could win. I'm not saying he can't, but man, does he have an uphill battle here. I think we're going to do an episode later on about why government-run grocery stores aren't going to work and why you would even want that anyways. How is it even fair for a government-run grocery store to be competing with private enterprises? I mean, does he know how many small businesses he could put out of business? If he succeeded, he's not going to succeed. But maybe this will be a good experiment. Maybe we'll get to see, right here in the United States, we'll have like a little North Korea, South Korea juxtaposition here. We'll get to see the absolute communist hellhole this guy creates. It'll be sad for all the people that live there, unfortunately, but I'm curious. I kind of want to see how this all runs out. He's got great social media. If this guy spent the time studying economics that he spent studying social media, he might be a pretty good politician. He might be a good leader. He'd probably be a Republican, but here we are. He's 33 years old or something like that. Good for him. Good for him for coming to this country and trying to completely destroy it. So hopefully he loses. I don't want to see New York City become the next London, the next Tripoli, the next Moscow. I don't want to see one of our country's greatest cities be absolutely destroyed, but it's what this guy wants to do. So we'll see. Hopefully he loses, but I'm not holding my breath. Thanks for listening, guys.